Hello everyone. Whatever you say, humanity continues to progress. And we're not just talking about trips to Mars or the modern microscopes used by scientists. Today, more and more architects, designers and urban planners are working to improve the lives of people living in big cities. We've compiled the most interesting and brilliant projects that, in the future, can really change megacities anywhere in the world. Do you want to see them? Then, let's get it on. Speed reducers. The problem of speeding is quite serious in many cities around the world, and in many cases, fines are not enough for motorists to drive within the limits. In the end, if the car can go faster, why brake, right?
Oh shit!
In different countries, this problem is fought in different ways, but this method is quite simple and quite brilliant. It doesn't even require a big financial cost. You just need to draw a pattern on the road that will force drivers to slow down. It can be a three-dimensional zebra. Who would risk their car when there are concrete blocks on the road? You can also use images of holes in the asphalt. According to the designers, they work just like real holes. And for very serious cases, you can use a drawing in the shape of a little girl running down the road. Yes, most likely this image will not only force you to slow down, it will also force you to brake suddenly, and at the same time it'll make the driver's hair a little grey. But the most important thing is the result, right? Free parking spots. Everyone who's used a covered parking lot knows how much effort and patience it takes to find a free space. You can spend a lot of time driving around before finding a small empty space for your car, but solving this problem can be much easier than it seems. This parking navigation system can determine which spaces are occupied and which are free with the help of ultrasonic sensors equipped with bright two-color lights. You only have to look at the lights to know that the place isn't occupied, since the light on the space is illuminated green. Once you park your car, the color will change to red. The correct configuration of the sensors allows the device not to pay attention to small items such as shopping carts. In addition, a special marker indicates the number of spots available, so you can navigate as fast as possible and not wander around the parking lot. Money for garbage. Almost every day, city residents use plastic bottles when drinking a variety of beverages, but when the drink is over, at best, the bottle ends up in the trash. Well, in China, they devised a great way to motivate people to send plastic not just to the garbage, but directly to the recycling. In the Beijing subway, automatic machines were installed that accept plastic bottles and give money in return. The award isn't that big, between 0.05 and 0.15 yuan, which are then transferred to the transport card. You'll need approximately 20 bottles, depending on the volume, to make a trip. The process is quite simple. The person places the container in a special hole. The machine scans it, determines the cost, and then sends the money to the card. It's anticipated that in the near future, these devices will appear not only at all metro stations, but also at public transport stops and elsewhere. This will significantly reduce the cost of the plastic recycling and at the same time save you money on travel. Music swings. According to some studies, the larger the city, the more introverted its residents are. In particular, they don't want to interact with other people and prefer to communicate only with family and close friends. With others, they communicate only in case of emergency. To somehow improve this, the Montreal design bureau Daily Toulet asked a professional composer for help. Together, they created an installation called 21 Swing, which was installed on a boardwalk. On the surface, it looks like the most common swing, but you only need to try it once to see how great this idea is. The swing produces sounds. They're painted in a certain color, representing different musical instruments, a guitar, a piano, etc. The higher the swing reaches, the louder the sound it emits. You've probably already imagined that this is a musical disaster, but that's the designer's idea. With the random sounds of instruments turned into melodies, unknown people can interact with each other to play an incredibly beautiful piece. The melody can be composed with only 3 notes, but the more people that participate simultaneously and search for a harmonious sound, the more complicated and beautiful the music will be. And if all the instruments start playing more or less in tune, the orchestra will be joined by a bonus instrument, a synthesizer. Slide. Every adult person is still a child inside, no matter how old they are. Sometimes people hide their love of all kinds of fun and entertainment because that attitude doesn't correspond to their age and status, but sometimes a small detail can bring us back to our childhood. For example, a huge cool slide in the middle of the city. These kinds of projects are suitable for installation on the subway or on the streets, and although some people may think it's strange or even absurd, these slides are very popular with people of all ages. Not only do they allow you to descend quickly without going down the boring stairs, but they also allow you to feel like a child again. It really boosts your mood and charges you with a positive attitude. So what else does a big city resident need? Cyclist protection. One of the trends in modern cities is to travel by bicycle. After all, it's an environmentally friendly, space-saving means of transportation that also helps you stay in good physical shape. But for most city residents, they need certain conditions to move from 4 wheels to 2 wheels. An excellent example can be seen in Vancouver, where in 2012, the local government set out to make half its traffic environmentally friendly by 2020. They did it much faster, and by 2017, people were making up to 50% of their journeys on foot, by bicycle, or by public transport. But to make people feel comfortable, they need to be protected from cars. In Canada, they decided to not use some metal or concrete bars that would spoil the city's appearance, but flower beds. It turned out to be a real green corridor. Trees on the sidewalk on one side, flowers on the other, and the happy cyclists among the flowers. And everyone on the road also feels safe. Virtual shopping. Imagine if you could get the products you need without going to the supermarket, but simply with a couple of clicks on your phone's touchscreen. Cool, right? The Dubai company has introduced a virtual shopping mall, through which you can experience a whole new way of making small purchases. The virtual store allows consumers to interact digitally with the products and see them on the screen in the form of 3D images. The rest is then quite simple. The necessary elements can be examined and moved into a virtual shopping cart. Payment is made via transaction from a bank card or a mobile phone. All purchases made in the virtual shopping center are delivered to the customer at home within 2 hours. But the highlight of the idea is that installing such a store takes up very little space, and in theory, the touchscreen can be installed anywhere in the city. Water from thin air. Imagine that you're walking and suddenly you feel a bit thirsty. You've got no water with you and there are no shops nearby. So you approach this billboard and pour water from it. Okay, it does sound a little bit weird, like we borrowed the idea from a Tim Burton movie, but in fact it could be a reality. One of these billboards offering drinks to everyone already exists, and is located in Peru. The project was launched by researchers from the Engineering and Technology University in Lima, in conjunction with the advertising agency Mayo Peru Draft at FCB. The billboard reads, "This billboard gets drinking water from the air," and it really does. Behind the billboard, there are 5 generators that seem to extract clean water vapor from the air with the help of a reverse osmosis system. The water then enters the tank, in which up to 100 liters per day can be accumulated. If you tilt the pipe, the water passes through the filters and you can try it. Illuminating pathways. Is it possible to eliminate street lighting and therefore save a lot of electricity? It can be a realistic idea if you, for example, cover paths in parks with a special luminescent coating. Yes, it is a real invention, and it's already used in some countries of the world. The coating can be considered smart because it adapts to ambient light. At night it shines brightly, but at sunrise the luminous path gradually extinguishes. This is a 3-layer material which accumulates ultraviolet pilot light during the day, and in the dark, it uses that energy to illuminate the path. The surface accumulates energy regardless of the level of ambient lighting. Of course, it's impossible to expect it to completely replace all streetlights, but perhaps these kinds of parts are useful in certain parts of the city. Smart bus stops. These high-tech bus stops have been developed and installed in Singapore, demonstrating the evolution of the idea of smart cities. Look, the design is equipped with multiple sensors and cameras, and the electronic system installed on the walls of the bus stop are capable of analyzing passenger flow, transport arrival intervals, and reporting the presence of suspicious objects. But that's not all. The top of the structure is equipped with a filtration and cooling system, an indispensable system in most cities of the world. Therefore, people on the platform are protected from the harmful effects of exhaust fumes and tropical heat. Well, while you're waiting for the bus, it's better to be in a high-tech modern design station than just